الحقيقة إنه الهدف من إنشاء مصنع فوق أكسيد الهيدروجين في جمهورية مصر العربية هدف مهم جدا، لأنه هذا المصنع بيكفي لإنتاج 23 ألف طن سنويا من فوق أكسيد الهيدروجين، وهذه المادة كان بيتم استيرادها سنويا.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing you live coverage of the imminent opening of two large factories for chemical gases at the Giza suburb of Abou Rawash. They are going to be opened soon by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi. Well, the two factories are owned by the Nasr company for intermediate chemicals. It uses petrochemicals mainly in order to produce such industrial gases. Recently, there has been a dire need for chemical gases, particularly medical gases used by hospitals, and the two factories are meant to cater to all hospital needs.
شركات حوالي 20 شركة مدنية شاركت في أعمال التوريدات
20 hospitals, 20 more companies have made the inputs into these new two factories.
طيب جدا، ده لانه هناك ارتفاع في جوده هذا المنتج اللي بيتم خروجه من هذا المصنع، بالاضافه طبعا الى مناسبه السعر بصوره كبيره.
Of course, the factory are meant to cater to all a growing need for chemical and industrial gases locally in order to save foreign currency, which in the past, until these two factories have been built, we used to buy such chemical and industrial gases from abroad.
فبالإضافة إلى المنتج المحلي المناسب وأيضا توفير العملة الصعبة، هناك توفير الآلاف من فرص العمل.
In addition to saving foreign currency, hard currency, which were used in the past to import such chemicals from other countries, these two new factories situated at the Giza suburb of Abu Rawash, these two factories are creating a large number of job opportunities, providing large number of job opportunities for young people as well.
مهم جدا نقول انه هذه المصانع هي مصانع صديقة للبيئة.
Well, we should say that it's noteworthy that these two factories are known to be environment friendly. Thus, they are going to be of detriment at all to the surrounding milieu, to the surrounding environment. They, however, so despite the fact that these two factories are going to use state-of-the-art technology, very advanced technologies to produce chemical gases, to produce industrial gases. However, despite this fact, they are going to be environment friendly. Filters have been fitted at all departmental sections of the in order to separate solvents, to separate other detrimental materials that would have otherwise been of immense detriment to the surrounding environment.
كما ذكرنا لحضراتكم انه مساله اعاده التدوير واستخدام المخرجات الخاصه بالمصانع مره ثانيه مساله مهمه جدا، فمصنع فوق اكسيد الهيدروجين نفسه هو بيقوم على اعاده
Well, the two factories also take well into consideration the recycling of materials, that's to say gases or chemical substances produced by other processes within the industry are not disposed of into the surrounding environment, as we just said, but they are going to be recycled into new materials, new substances.
قالولي في جملة واضحة حط فيها اسم مصر، جاوبت بحسن نية الجملة هي تحيا مصر. قالولي ارسم علمها، سرحت وتخيلت قصر عليه حراس كتيرة في وسطهم خط.
مشاهدينا الكرام ونحن اليوم
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been waiting for His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to come and declare open these two twin factories, one for medical gases and the other one for industrial gases, including the ultra hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, ultra
وقطاع التعليم أيضا وخاصة التعليم الفني. فبالإضافة إلى أنه هذه المصانع بيشارك فيها العديد والعديد من العاملين والمهندسين في هذه المصانع.
A large number of engineers, personnel have already been recruited by the two factories. They are going to be trained to receive high quality advanced training as well, so that they can acquire the required skills. These ultra hydrogen oxide gas is going to save a lot of money that would have otherwise been spent on importing ultra hydrogen oxide from outside Egypt. And in addition, the ultra hydrogen oxide produced, the surplus of it will be exported as well, so that the two factories are not only going to cater to growing local demand for medical and industrial gases, but it also going to export the surplus to other countries outside Egypt. So it's going to earn the country and more hard currency badly needed by the nation.
ظهر طبعا الاحتياج الكبير لهذه المادة خلال عمليات حفر آبار الغاز في حقل ظهر هذا الحقل العملاق.
Actually the argon gas and other gases to be produced by these two factories draw on the vast reserves produced by Dhuhr natural gas find. The Dhuhr natural gas well, which has been a new find, a new discovery for the nation, is going to provide all the raw gases which are to be processed by these two factories.
الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي تحدث أكثر من مرة عن القيمة المضافة.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has always been stressing the need to add value to raw materials rather than exporting them as just raw materials to earn the country some hard currency. But we have to add value to these raw materials by processing them, making them into something valuable that can be sold, can be exported either on the local market or outside the country for hard currency. Well, the two factories, as we've said, are going to generate jobs for young people, young engineers and young technicians. Of course, we know that unemployment has to be curbed, has already been successfully curbed by the present government, and these two factories are going to find more and more jobs for young people and young technicians.
بيرفع كفاءة العناصر المشاركة في هذا الإنتاج هذه العناصر. بعد ذلك حينما تشارك في إنشاء مصانع أخرى والاشتراك في المنظومة الصناعية من جديد بتكون عناصر أكثر كفاءة.
Well, actually, the personnel who are to be trained as engineers and technicians at these two factories, by the time some similar factories had been set up in the country, dotted across the country, these already trained, by which time these personnel will have been very well trained, they can get there and give their own experience to newer personnel coming, or newly recruited people, so that they can give them their own, transfer to them their own experience and their own expertise in producing and processing natural gases.
بيستطيع العامل ان هو يكتسب مهارات عديدة في فترة قصيرة.
And now he's shaking hands with being welcomed by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister and all cabinet ministers are on hand to welcome His Excellency to the factory, where he's going to declare open these two factories for chemical as well as medical gases. He's going to listen to a briefing by the experts of the factory. He's going to scale model. His Excellency is now looking at a scale model of the factory, and he's listening to a briefing. He's being updated by the officer, because actually it's run by the army. The army officer responsible for the factory. He's giving updating to the president. He's saying that we have factories that we are going to produce chlorine gas, as well as medical and industrial gases as well. Your Excellency, as the officer says, Your Excellency, we had the honor of Your Excellency coming in December 2016 to the first factory, which was declared that it was going to produce chlorine gas. And today, 2 years on, 2 more factories have already been created to produce medical as well as industrial gases. Ultra hydrogen oxide is produced by using electroanalysis cells. The method of electrical or electroanalysis cells or panels are used to produce ultra hydrogen oxide gas. President Abdel Fattah Sisi has already listened to a quick briefing on the factory, watching or looking at the scale model of the factory, showing the diverse sections of the plant.
والصلاة الله 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 على رجالة مصر الله 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 قالها الجيش والشعب معاه قالها الجيش والشعب معاه الجيش المصري الجبار اللي ماسك بإيديه النار عاد 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 ليل ونهار واقف على الجبهة الجيش اللي صنع رجالة ليها كلمة وهدف ورسالة عاد 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 اللي لا ما حناش الجبهة الجيش المصري الجبار اللي ماسك بإيديه النار عاش عاش ليل ونهار واقف على الجبهة الجيش اللي صنع رجالة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا مشاهدينا الكرام بمنطقة أبو رواش بمحافظة
Ladies and gentlemen, we are still bringing you live coverage of the official ceremonial opening of two medical and industrial gas factories. They are to be opened very shortly by President Abdel Fattah Sisi. President Abdel Fattah Sisi has already arrived at the site, having listened to a quick, to brief update on the diverse sections of the factory. His Excellency has moved to another section of the factory. These chemicals, the output, all the materials to be, substance to be produced, or secondary or subsidiary material to be produced by the factory when producing the major production of gases are going to be used to be channeled into processing in producing paper as well. The Nasr company for intermediate gases, which owns and runs these two factories, has already introduced an innovative service for hospitals. That's to say, it has already set up has already extended a pipeline pipeline network from the factory producing medical gases to relevant or to hospitals wanting to have oxygen gas or other medical gases needed by these two hospitals, rather than carrying oxygen gases in cylinders on lorries, on trucks to the hospital which wants to use or consume these medical gases. So a network of natural gases, a network of medical gases has already been extended to hospitals. It has been a newly introduced service by Al Nasr company for intermediate gases. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about the medical section, we have to mention, we have not to forget at all, that Egypt has already embarked on a very ambitious plan for upgrading its health insurance system. A new innovative health insurance system has already been introduced by the government to provide medical care, much needed medical care to everyone, to every strata of society, particularly the vulnerable people. When talking about hospitals providing such medical care under the state-run health insurance system, we don't mean hospitals in the two large cities, Cairo or Alexandria, the second capital. No, we mean hospitals, we mean all hospitals dotted across the country are capitalizing, have already started to capitalize on, to turn to good account this new system to provide much needed health care and medical care to everyone in Egypt. A new insurance system has already been introduced to under which, for example, women and young girls are allowed to have medical examination for breast cancer, for example, for early diagnosis of the disease. Well, as we have already said, people who have already been recruited into these two factories as engineers and technicians have themselves been trained, have received high quality training in the processes of the industry they are going to work on. And in addition to this, these two factories have already been linked, duly linked to some technical vocational training schools in order to provide training as well to young secondary school vocational training school students who are still receiving training at vocational training schools in order to give them high quality training and on the spot training at these two factories. Give them skill and training.
راية ونسر عالمك يا مصر مرفوع بنصر بعون الله، أمن وأمان في كل مكان، جرس أذان ذكر والصلاة. الله 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 على رجالة مصر، الله 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 الله. قالها الجيش والشعب معاه، قالها الجيش والشعب معاه. الجيش المصري الجبار اللي ماسك بايديه النار عاد 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 عاد، ليل ونهار واقف على الجبهة. الجيش اللي صنع رجالة كلمة وهدف ورسالة عاد 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 عاد، اللي لا ما حناش الجبهة. الجيش المصري الجبار اللي ماسك بايديه النار عاش عاش، ليل ونهار واقف على الجبهة. الجيش اللي صنع رجالة ليها كلمة وهدف ورسالة عاش عاش، اللي لا ما حناش الجبهة. بالقيادة وبالبريء عاش عاش، صاحي وسلاحه في ايديه
عمر في أرضك جيشك وشعبك الكل جنبك.
طور مصانعك
دور
عمر في أرضك
عمر
جيشك وشعبك
الكل جنبك. ازرع وخطر علم وكبر بلدك بتكبر الله ينور.
ازرع وخطر
ازرع
علم وكبر بلدك بتكبر الله ينور. الجيش المصري الجبار اللي كمش بإيديه النار عاش عاش ليل ونهار واقف على الجبل. الجيش اللي صنع رجالة ليها كلمة وهدف ورسالة عاش عاش غير لله ما حداش الجبل. تحيا مصر.
يحكى أن جيشا الجيش المصري اقبل بيهدوا براكين بيسدوا اقبل بيهدوا براكين بيسدوا لا مجنزر ولا نص مجنزر ما دام اللغم بيتفجر هو لا مجنزر ولا نص مجنزر ما دام اللغم بيتفجر عزة وفخر ودين ولا جملة ولا كلمة زيادة قول الجيش المصري يا السادة ولا جملة ولا كلمة زيادة قول الجيش المصري يا سادة ولادة شهداء وأبطال يا عظيمة يا مصر يا ولادة. بص يمينك بص شمالك تلقى الجيش المصري أمامك.
مصر الحارة كان العبارة قضية سلم طول الليل. مصر الشاب الجدع الشاب بنتي بترسم قلب وسم. مصر الزحمة مليانة رحمة ايد بتعدي وايد بتشيل.
وكوباية شاي عالرايق تفوقك لو متضايق.
ونكتة ضحكت من القلب.
وحمص الشام على الكورنيش وخد طبق فول ورغيف عيش.
وقعد وغمس هنا على جنب راضيين نعيش فيها عالقد. وهي دي مصر اللي بجد.
في مصر تروح في أي مكان
في ناس مختلفة في الألوان
لكن نفس الطباع بالظبط.
وفي التكاي بقى قاعد شيخ
في تشقيق وشه تقرا تاريخ.
بيخبط جوه الخبط.
بنصلي جمعة وقداس حد وهي دي مصر اللي بجد.
رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt and the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, walks right into the hall where he's going to declare open the two factories, as the internal announcer has already said. In the name of God the Beneficent and Most Merciful, quoting some verses of the Holy Quran, it's Allah and His Prophet will be seeing your deeds on the day of the resurrection, unquote. Your Excellency, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the audience, we are welcoming you today to these new factories in order to declare open ceremonially these two new factories. It's a new achievement, a new accomplishment which has already been added to the industrial power of the nation. Nasr company for intermediate chemicals has already set up these two factories in order to reinforce the capacity of chemical producing. We are today celebrating the inauguration of these two factories. The first of them is the factory for industrial and medical gases in order to cater to local demand for industrial and medical gases. The third factory, so we are opening three factories. The third one is for producing ultra hydrogen oxide gas, which comes into the processing of a lot of initial industrial processes like, and we are ceremonially inaugurating the ceremony with
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن في ذلك لعبرة لمن يخشى أأنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم صدق الله العظيم.
صدق الله العظيم. ونحن ما زلنا في أيام شهر الانتصارات والبطولات.
Today we are still, well, the October victory are still within us. We just this month we marked the 46th anniversary of the October War, and when this month comes round every year, new accomplishments happen to be added to the national economy of the country. Now, this month, these three factories have already been added to the processing and to industrial capacity of this country. Now the floor is being given to His Excellency Major General Mustafa Amin, the Commander of the National Service Authority of the Armed Forces.
بسم الله
In the name of God, the Beneficent and Most Merciful, Your Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, dear audience, acting on your presidential instructions, the National Service Authority or Agency of the Armed Forces has been adding new accomplishments and setting up new projects everywhere in the country in line with the national development plans of the country. All companies, all subsidiary companies affiliated to the National Service Authority of the Armed Forces have been creating new facilities, either the areas of farming or animal breeding, livestock breeding, living on these farming areas. These subsidiary companies have also set up complexes for heavier industries like marble, cement, granite, fertilizers and chemicals as well, with a view to catering to growing local demand of the local market. And in addition, by doing so, we are making optimal use of the national wealth, of the national resources of the country. In the years to 2018, 2019 alone, we have already the National Service Agency of the Armed Forces, by creating such industrial facilities, has provided thousands and thousands of job opportunities to young people. Your Excellency President, last August, the Nasr company for intermediate companies had the honor of having Your Excellency inaugurating a giant complex for phosphatic fertilizers. Today, 2 months on, we are having the honor of Your Excellency opening this factory, this complex, which encompasses 2 factories. One for producing medical and industrial gases, while the other one for ultra hydrogen oxide. They are situated in a very vast area at Abou Rawash at Giza province, and by adding these 2 factories, all factories and plants run by a Nasr company will have had 37 factories dotted along Al Giza, Abou Rawash and Al Fayoum provinces. The 2 factories for medical and industrial gases, which is going to be open today, has to do with producing medical and industrial gases. These 2 factories are made all the more valuable because they are going to meet the local needs of the market, needed by hospitals, medical centers, as Al Nasr company has been producing distinctive high-quality gases. Nitrogen, argon gases are also being produced by these 2 factories, and because they are needed by a lot of petroleum as well as paper and other factories in their processing, in the industrial processing. We are planning to produce 900 cubic meters of argon, of oxygen as well. Thank God, we have already set up a factory for producing ultra hydrogen oxide, which this factory, the one to produce ultra hydrogen oxide, which is going to be opened by Your Excellency, will be the first in the Middle East region. This factory becomes all the more important because it's going to meet local demand for this production of this gas, ultra hydrogen oxide, rather than importing it from outside at a very high cost. The the industrial capacity of ultra hydrogen oxide will be producing 23,000 tons per annum annually. Just as the National Service Agency of the Armed Forces has always been interested in producing highest quality production, a Nasr company for intermediate chemicals has already won high quality ISO certificates, and in terms of preserving the environment, meeting healthcare specification, the Nasr intermediate company has also been awarded relevant certificates from international ISO awarding agencies. Among the consumers will be MP Linde of Germany. MP Linde of Germany are among the corporations making inputs into the creation of these two factories. We've also to mention, I've also to cite constructive cooperation and collaboration displayed by all relevant ministries and agencies of the country. Your Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the country, as well as the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. This achievement being declared open today, we will have the honor of having Your Excellency opening it. This achievement wouldn't have been possible had it not been for your presidential instructions and the help of God. And may Allah, God, help us all to serve our nation. A documentary film is going to be displayed now to Your Excellency and the audience on the diverse sections of these two factories under the title of The Factories as an Opening for Hope and Life.
النفس ده بالنسبة له هو الحياة. كوباية مية نقية تساوي حياة. أرض خضراء عافية حياة. وعشان المسؤولية كبيرة والمهمة.
The factories as opening of life, as an opening a window of hope and life. Work has been going around on these two factories before they are to be opened, and even after the opening will be around the clock. A Nasr company for intermediate chemicals, which is situated at Fayoum province, at Fayoum governorate, as in Giza, is a factory not only producing gases or chemicals, but the company also produces hope for everyone. In the year 2004, the water desalination sector, the water producing sector, which produces the Nile water into pipelines, had been crippled by a deep crisis in the production of the chemical agent alum, which is used to desalinate water and to clear water of any unwanted materials. And the Nasr company for intermediate chemicals has contributed a lot in that year, since that year, 2004, in resolving and meeting local demand for alum. We have already embarked on a project to produce phosphatic fertilizers, because before this factory was created, Egypt's phosphate raw material of phosphate would be used, would be exported to other countries raw, without adding any value to it. Now this raw material of phosphate is made into phosphatic fertilizers. That's to say, we have successfully added value to the raw material to make it into fertilizers.
انهم خلال الفتره اللي جايه من 2017 لحد النهارده الحمد لله ان هم هيعملوا المستحيل لتوفير كميه الارجون اللي مطلوبه للمشروع.
اما قطاع الكهرباء
Argon gas has also been made available. Processing water within power stations has also been undertaken by a Nasr company for intermediate. And every household in Egypt uses tap water. Tap water is being cleared by chemicals produced by a Nasr company for intermediate companies. And since our ambitions have no ceiling, today we are declaring open at Abou Rawash 2 new factories. The first is the number 3 factory for chemical and industrial gases to meet local needs of gases, either used medically. Here we produce liquefied oxygen needed by hospitals. According to the health insurance system, hospitals have been sprawling on across the country, and they have been there has been a more growing need for such liquefied oxygen. Liquefied oxygen is being provided by a Nasr company for intermediate gases, for intermediate chemicals. Argon, we are to produce argon gas at a capacity of 1 million cubic meter annually. All chemicals produced by a Nasr company for intermediate chemicals come into the processing of diverse chemical and industrial processes, even in other industries, even by other industries like paper mills, fertilizers, which in the past did not find enough supplies of these on the local market and had to squander huge amounts of hard currency to import these materials from other countries. Hydrogen, already produced as a subsidiary product produced by chlorine industry, is going to be processed into ultra hydrogen oxide. Ultra hydrogen peroxide is going to be produced by the surplus hydrogen auxiliary, which was used as an auxiliary product when producing chlorine. We have state-of-the-art testing laboratories and integrated control systems encompassing the entire process from the raw material up to the time the final product is being produced. Before we started to build these 2 factories, we had taken into account every specification, technical specification, which was having to do with the preserving of the environment. The factories has been awarded 4 international certificates: quality, preserving the environment, as well as ISO, the Egyptian ISO award. The company, a Nasr company for intermediate chemicals, has opened its doors wide open to 4,000 young people to be employed by these two factories, to be trained and when the farming land produces sprouts with green plants, and when people breathe life, the company gives us all hope and hope for a brighter future. The factory, the number 3 factory for medical and industrial gases, represent a large stride in producing oxygen and all other medical gases, which reinforces the building capacity of the Egyptian economy, as well as enhances the productivity of a Nasr company for intermediate. Now the floor is being given to His Excellency Staff Major General Mukhtar Abdul Latif, the company chief of Al Nasr Company for Intermediate Gases. Staff Major General Mukhtar Abdul Latif is being given the floor because he's the chief of the board of directors of the company. In the name of God, the beneficent and most merciful, Your Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Supreme Commander, who also doubles as the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. Dear audience, we welcome you all to Al Nasr Company for Intermediate Chemicals. Many happy returns to Your Excellency on the 46th anniversary of the October War. May so many happy returns come to Your Excellency and the entire Egyptian people. The headquarters of the company at Abou Rawash, where you are, Your Excellency, is now has the honor of your presence in order to declare open these two factories, already set up by a Nasr company for intermediate companies, which has been the country's oldest facility for producing chemicals. The creation of these two factories has been a major, daunting challenge for the company because they needed a solid infrastructure, either for manpower, like residential areas for the manpower, or even for the industrial facilities needed to produce. Allah, God is credited, and you as well is credited, and then your Excellency is also credited with giving impetus to all efforts to create these two factories. Over the last 5 years, 15 new factories have been added in order to serve diverse industries, serve the overall economic development plan of the government. We have added four factories in order to produce chlorine and caustic soda, in addition to some other chemicals, in order to provide all sectors of the state with much needed chemicals. Four factories have been added to produce pesticides as well as fertilizers in order to serve the farming sector. 4 more factories have been added in order to produce insecticide, household harmful insects. 4 factories to produce chemical and industrial gases much needed by hospitals and other plants, industrial plants. 2 more factories have also been added to produce liquefied and solid alum needed by water pipeline system. by waterworks, all waterworks dotted across Egypt in order to clear the Nile water out of all unwanted material, have always been in a dire need for liquefied and solid alum. Sulfuric acid is also being produced by the company. Sulfuric acid is a major substance which comes into the processing of diverse materials. Fiberglass is also being produced by the company in order to serve diverse needs of all sectors. The company and in addition to all these factories produced over the past over the past 5 years, 2 more factories have already been added to produce chemical as well as industrial gases. That's to say, the 2 factories to be opened by Your Excellency today. And these 2 factories also produce argon needed by various industrial processes. And argon we have been drawing on al-Dhuhr oil find, natural gas find in order to get. We've been drawing on al-Dhuhr oil find in order to get argon gas without having to import it from outside the country. The company, by setting up all these factories, has added new social dimension, has been serving a new social dimension by creating more jobs, providing more job opportunities for a lot of young people. We have been providing more than 100 hospitals dotted across the nation with liquefied oxygen as well as gases oxygen as well to meet the needs of oxygen. The Nasr company for intermediate gases has also been setting up pipelines in order to extend pipelines of oxygen to hospital patient rooms as well. Hospital fumigators have also been provided with gas. Secondly, the ultra hydrogen oxide has been really the new accomplishment by this company. Hydrogen, the ultra hydrogen oxide material factory, the ultra hydrogen oxide factory has been the first in the country. Otherwise, ultra hydrogen oxide would have been imported from other countries. Ultra hydrogen oxide is used by the petroleum sector and some other important sector. The factory is going to produce 15,000 tons in order to provide enough supplies of hydrogen oxide. Actually, hydrogen is being produced as an auxiliary product through the processing of chlorine. That's to say, when producing chlorine gas, hydrogen is being produced as an auxiliary or secondary product. We are going with this ultra hydrogen oxide product, we are going to meet local needs, and the service will be exported. Supplies, construction, providing machinery, fittings, operation have been provided by 20 corporations, local and foreign ones. Some Egyptian textile companies, textile factories, have already been provided by ultra-hydrogen oxide, and much to the pleasure of these textile manufacturers which would have otherwise imported ultra-hydrogen oxide from other countries at a higher cost. With the creation of these two factories here at Abou Rawash, the headquarters and the two branches at Ain al-Sukhna and Al-Fayoum will have employed 4,000 people, and the company undertakes the training and qualification and qualifying and training of these 4,000 workers. In addition to 20,000 indirect job opportunities in distributing in the form of indirect job opportunities represented by distributing the product and similar other jobs. In order to avert any harmful detrimental emissions from the chimneys of the factory, all international world recognized specifications have been well observed. Additional procedures have been implemented. The industrial and medical gases have been fitted with noise suppressors, that's to say, to suppress noise, and filters to clear the air of any unwanted material, and recycling water and irrigating a large area of farming land. As Your Excellency has seen, we have been eagerly interested in enlarging and expanding the greenery around the factory in order to avert any pollution either for the factory or for the surrounding region. Allow me, Your Excellency President, allow me to extend heartfelt gratitude to all workers, all employees of Nasr company for intermediate chemicals. In doing so, I'm calling them to do doubled efforts in order to meet with the chemicals, with the production, to meet growing needs for chemicals needed by the local factory, by the local market. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the commander of the factory, or the director of the factory, is quoting a verse of the Holy Quran in which God says, Allah says, do your deeds, because on the day of the resurrection, it's Allah, His Prophet, and all believers will be seeing your deeds. Unquote. I'm allowing Your Excellency President to make you a present of a copy of the Holy Quran to be the best thing to preserve and safeguard Your Excellency. The commander of the factory is making a present to His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, a present of a copy of the Holy Quran to be the best safeguard for His Excellency. We ask Your Excellency's permission to start the inspection tour. President Abdel Fattah Sisi is going to start the inspection tour. President Abdel Fattah Sisi is making some remarks before he starts his own inspection tour. Thank you very much. I really feel grateful to you all for opening these two factories. All gratitude, all heartfelt thanks are due to everyone who has contributed to the creation of these two factories. The armed forces has been undertaking this mission of adding new factories to the industrial capacity of the country, and when the armed forces is doing so, we must appreciate this effort. Should be well received by the public. It should be well appreciated. Well, actually, we have seen that civil factories have been capitalizing on the products made by armed forces factories. The armed forces factories, including these two and the other one produced before, have been producing substances and chemicals which are indispensable for the local market. The local market cannot be allowed to be badly impacted by any loss or any shortage of any of these chemicals. I've said this before. Farming, greenhouses. Well, imagine that when we have 10,000 feddans covered with greenhouses, a lot of young people will be employed by these greenhouse farms. By doing so, we are giving hope to young people because we are creating them jobs rather than staying idle, staying unemployed. And also, by doing so, we've been enhancing the concept of partnership. You remember that when I was declaring open the greenhouse project at Mohammed Naguib military base on the northern coast, on the Mediterranean. I have said before, when opening this greenhouse area, that we have declared open, ever since then, I've declared open any partnership attempt by any other civil works or any civil company to come into partnership. These companies contributing to these greenhouses and all other areas of industry should be listed on the stock exchange, so that every Egyptian citizen may have the right to buy shares, to buy stocks, to buy shares of the stocks of these companies on the stock exchange. I'm inviting everyone to buy, not to hesitate to buy stocks of these companies, to buy shares of these companies on the stock exchange. I'm inviting everyone in order to avert any troublesome procedures. So I'm welcoming everyone to buy shares of these companies. We've been working on this business for 3 years on partnership, but listing companies on the stock exchanges involves a great deal of procedures. Of course, I can't talk about them now, but we are going to list some of these companies on the stock exchange to declare the way open for everyone to buy shares. I've been talking about Egypt's sovereign fund. Egypt's sovereign fund will be having a lot of funds coming right into it, because the proceeds of these will be channeled into Egypt's sovereign fund. It will have trillions. I've already approached the Prime Minister on this. Didn't I? Yes. The Prime Minister is answering yes. All these companies involve Egyptian-owned assets, which will be listed on the stock exchange and will be allowed to grow further and further. I'm talking this to the media representatives and to all Egyptians. Don't ever influence it. Uncertainty has been prevailing for 80 years, and attempts at dividing and splitting people from each other. This is a status which we have to continue to persistently resist. what we have been achieving. It's God, it's Allah who is credited with what we have been doing, with what we have been manufacturing. They are in continued hostility with any achievement. You may describe them as evil people or lying people or evil people. You may describe them as either evil or whatever. You may give them any characteristic you may give them too. Don't be hesitated by anything said about you. I'm telling you that the Egyptian people fully realizes what's going on around it. But we have to assert on every occasion that the media has an important role an important act to do. It's a war of social media sites and a warfare of social media warfare and rumor warfare against the Egyptian people. I'm telling the media and officials to talk realistically by citing, by quoting figures, quoting statistics to the people so that they may realize themselves what the government has been undertaking to do. We have been suffering from this, not now, but for quite some time. Uncertainty and skepticism and throwing everything into a state of skepticism or skeptically regarding everything has been a characteristics of them. And so it remains that all institutions of the state should be present, should be there in order to face up to any rumor or any move. I'm telling representatives of the people at the House of the Representatives in Parliament have an important role to play. Go as representatives of the people, go do your inspection tours and report what you see and what you discover to the people, what you uncover to the people. And actually this is not an instruction. The public prosecutor, the general public prosecutor is the guardian of society, the guardian of the Egyptian people. All channels, all past channels of action, channels of action did go in line with our requirements at the time. But now a new situation has been unfolding. A new situation has been unfolding in front of the state, in front of the government. You have been working and should be working all the time to serve the country, to serve the nation, rather than not to serve the regime, the ruling regime. You are here doing business in the factory, doing whatever you do at all production sites in order to serve the country, to serve the nation. If someone comes up and levels certain charges and certain accusations at any public figure, well, the public prosecutor and all relevant bodies have to stop, have to dwell upon it, have to investigate into it. The accusations made are either correct or not correct. Who is to decide on the correctness of these charges or these accusations? It's Parliament. Your Excellency, Dr. Abdallah. Yes, Dr. Abdallah says yes. It's Parliament. It's the House of Representatives who is in charge of deciding on the correctness or the validity of this charge or this accusation or not. when a query is being lodged by an MP, well, an MP may file or lodge a query against any public figure. Inquisition is being made by MPs to Parliament. All government institutions should be made in charge of defending the entire Egyptian state. Otherwise, we'll be vulnerable. Otherwise, we'll all be vulnerable to risks. Well, we should be prepared. We should be more geared up to face more challenges than the ones we have been facing, because we have been adding accomplishments in view of this, all institutions interpellations should be lodged by MPs in order to validate or invalidate, to substantiate or unsubstantiate such accusations. My heartfelt thanks and gratitude to everyone who has contributed. So, well, from now on, we are going to go on opening new projects, even if this is much to the detriment of evil people who will not be satisfied or be sad or be grieved if we see us opening or adding new achievements to what we have been doing over the past years. We will not let them let them badly or adversely impact our morale. Our morale should not be adversely impacted by them. We are doing this not for everyone, but for God's sake first of all, for Allah's sake, for God's sake first of all, and then for of our forthcoming generations, for our children. I do hope that we will all be vigilant. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the President is going to make his own inspection tour of the new...
كنا دولة على وشك الانهيار ووشك الضياع، والشعب كان فاقد الأمل والثقة في مستقبل أفضل، وكان لابد من إعادة بناء الانطباع لدى المصريين. 5 سنين بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى وبفضل شعب مصر وتضحياته احنا في موقف ووضع تاني خالص.
دائما برامج الإصلاح الاقتصادي برامج بتحتاج إلى رؤية سياسية كبيرة وعزيمة شعب إن احنا ننفذ هذه الإجراءات.
أي حكومة لما بتتعامل مع قضايا شديدة الأهمية بتضع في الاعتبار رد الفعل.
مفيش إصلاح حقيقي من غير تكلفة، عشان كده مصر وهي بتضع برنامج الإصلاح في وقتها يمكن وضعت أكبر حزمة اجتماعية في تاريخها، لأن احنا عارفين إنه الحماية الاجتماعية الحقيقية هي توفير فرص العمل.
كام مليون بيشتغل في كل مشاريع الدولة من أقصى الصعيد لغاية اسكندرية، ما يقلش عن 5 مليون.
احنا وفرنا تقريبا في حدود 900,000 فرصة عمل سنويا، ودي الحماية الاجتماعية الحقيقية اللي فعلا بنوفرها للمواطن.
هو ده اللي مخلي المواطن النهارده عنده امل ويتحمل ويتقبل اي اجراءات اصلاحيه لانه شايف النهارده في امل.
رد فعلكم على الإصلاح الاقتصادي كان محل تقدير واحترام شديد ليا، كان شرف ليا، تحملكم شرف.
المؤسسات الدولية الكبيرة كلها هي اللي بتقول إن مصر النهاردة نموذج نجاح لكل العالم.
ثقة فيكم انتوا، ثقة في الوعي وفي إرادة التغيير اللي موجودة في شعب مصر اللي هو السحب.
À présent, chers téléspectateurs, un petit aperçu, une édition, je dirais, raccourcie de notre Bonjour l'Égypte concernant certainement l'inauguration qu'a entamé le président ce matin. Alors, le président Abdel Fattah Sisi inaugure ce matin une usine de fabrication de gaz médical, une autre de gaz industriel et une troisième usine produisant l'ultra-oxyde d'hydrogène à Abou Rawash dans le gouvernorat de Giza. Ces usines appartiennent à l'une des plus importantes entreprises du secteur public pour la production des produits chimiques qui entrent dans la production d'autres produits destinés aux clients en Égypte. Alors cette entreprise a réalisé des progrès records durant les 6 dernières années en inaugurant plusieurs usines de produits chimiques. Il est à noter également, chers téléspectateurs, que ces productions vont pourvoir aux besoins du marché égyptien au lieu d'importer ces gaz ou ces produits pour produire des produits chimiques à base de ces produits. Et à présent, nous avons quelques images de cette installation. Le président Abdel Fattah Sisi a réitéré que l'Égypte poursuivra ses efforts malgré les critiques destructrices qui sont lancées de part et d'autre. Il a ajouté que ce complexe de projets a embauché des dizaines de milliers de jeunes. Et le président Abdel Fattah Sisi a invité le secteur privé à investir dans ce domaine afin de favoriser ces produits et essayer de répandre ces produits en Égypte dans une plus grande échelle. Fabrication de gaz médical, de gaz industriel et de gaz ultra-oxyde d'hydrogène à Abou Rawash dans le gouvernorat de Giza. Ces usines, chers téléspectateurs, appartiennent à l'une des plus importantes entreprises du secteur public pour la production des produits chimiques qui entrent dans la production d'autres produits, que ce soit des produits chimiques ou autres. Cette entreprise a réalisé des progrès records durant les 6 dernières années en inaugurant plusieurs usines de produits chimiques. L'armée égyptienne a déployé plusieurs efforts dans ces projets et le président a appelé aux autres partenaires de la patrie, certainement le secteur privé, à investir dans ce domaine.
شهيد في بلدي يا بلدي يا بلدي يا حبيبتي راجعة زي طير، يا حبيبتي راجعة زي طير، راجع لأحضان الصحاب، الحضن يم الشوق حرير، يلي فتحتي ألف باب، يا سينا من سينا اللي فات، يا أغلى الذكريات، يا شراع في بحر بينفرد، مدد 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 مدد، الله الله الله.
واحنا هنبني بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى. احنا واخدين الطريق الصعب قوي، بس بيكوا يا مصريين محدش ابدا هيقدر يمنعنا ان احنا نبني ونكمل.
كما تم إمداد بعض الشركات المصرية العاملة في مجال صناعة النسيج بالمنتج الجديد.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing to report on the inauguration of the new chemical complexes just inaugurated by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi. Well, the two factories are owned by a Nasr company for intermediate chemicals.
أرضها سر الوجود واحنا عايشين نبني فيها، تحيا مصر بأعلى صوت، من البحيرة للصعيدة وأهلنا في أرض العريش، عيشوا ملح ولما نفطر بالفطير وهي القريش، زي مصر وزي ناسها طبعهم لما تلاقيش، من البحيرة للصعيدة وأهلنا في أرض العريش، عيشوا ملح ولما نفطر بالفطير وهي
مشاهدينا الكرام نتابع الآن من
Ladies and gentlemen, President Abdel Fattah Sisi is still making his presidential tour of the diverse sections of the new industrial complex producing industrial medical gases as well as ultra-hydrogen oxide.
مشاهدينا الكرام في هذه المنطقة 4 مصانع للغازات و4 مصانع لإنتاج الكلور و4 مصانع للأيروسولات.
These 3 factories have been added today, but however, the region where these 3 factories have been added, there have been 4, 6 or 8 factories producing phosphates, producing chlorine, and these 3 factories have been added to them.
لأنه هذا التصدير بيوفر العديد من الميزات الاقتصادية المصرية. مشاهدينا الكرام، حينما نتحدث عن المصنعين الجديدين يصبح إجمالي العاملين بالمقر الرئيسي للشركة
Talking or adding the new workers, the new labor added to a Nasr company for intermediate chemicals staff will have aged up towards 4,000 workers. So 4,000 workers are now employed by a Nasr company for intermediate chemicals, which is a subsidiary company to the National Service Agency of the Armed Forces. The 4,000 staff have been provided training, qualification,
إنشاء هذين المصنعين والذين يتم إنشاؤهما في فترة وجيزة جدا. شاركت عدة شركات مصرية
Egyptian as well as foreign corporations, manufacturers have all contributed to the creation of these 2 factories.
مشاهدينا، نحن الآن في انتظار افتتاح الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي لمصنع الغازات الطبية والصناعية.
Now the president is scheduled to arrive at the site of the factory to officially ceremonially declare open the medical gases as well as the industrial gases factory.
هذا بالإضافة إلى وجود مساحات خضراء كبيرة وسط هذه المصانع مما يقلل من التلوث البيئي سواء كان داخل الشركة أو بالمنطقة المحيطة. المساحات الخضراء متوفرة، كذلك المعايير الخاصة بالحفاظ على المحافظة على سلامة البيئة كانت من أولويات صناع هذه المصانع، حيث أنها
absorb carbon dioxide in order to be friendly to in order to declare the environment of any pollutants.
الشركة بالعديد من الإجراءات البيئية الإضافية لصالح
Additional environmental procedures have been implemented by the company in order to reduce or even eliminate altogether any environmental detrimental any emissions that would have otherwise been detrimental to the surrounding environment. Additional factory for producing hydrogen oxide, ultra-hydrogen oxide has been added, and a unit for recycling industrial waste rather than draining it into the environment has also been added to the 3 new factories.
الهيدروجين أو مصنع فوق أكسيد الهيدروجين. نحن نتحدث عن إنتاج النيتروجين والأرجون، وكما تابعنا من خلال الفيلم الذي عرض
as we have seen in a film, shown by a film, documentary film on the new plant.
للقطاع الصحي.
The Nasr company has also been extended oxygen pipelines to hospitals which need oxygen gas.
مركز طبي متخصص بالأكسجين الغازي والسائل، وإمداد هيئة الإسعاف المصرية بكل من القاهرة والجيزة بحوالي 30,000 أسطوانة غاز أكسجين سنوياً، فإن الشركة استحدثت خدمة جديدة لصالح المستشفيات والمراكز الطبية
the company, as we've said,
وهي إنشاء
has
شبكات
introduced a new service of providing oxygen to patient rooms. Actually, the service has been quite new to hospitals in Egypt, which would in the past send lorries to carry back to hospital cylinders of oxygen. Now, the company has been working on extending a pipeline right from the oxygen producing company or the medical gas, let's say the medical gas company, the medical gas manufacturer, right to hospitals in order to oxygen, to extend life-saving oxygen to all hospital patient rooms.
أيضا تقوم الشركة بخدمة تركيب خزانات الأكسجين والنيتروجين والأرجون السائل للمستشفيات والشركات.
The company has been in the business of fitting tanks for liquefied oxygen, liquefied argon to hospitals as well, because hospitals use either gases, oxygen or liquefied oxygen. So in the case of liquefied oxygen, it's also the company which undertakes the fitting and construction of liquefied oxygen to hospitals. Well, as President Abdel Fattah Sisi made his own presidential remarks after as the ceremony, the previous ceremony, well, the president said we should be ready, we should be geared up for facing all those challenges looming high over the country, and we should stand against the enemies of the country, the enemies of the nation, as President Abdel Fattah Sisi has just said.
مشاهدينا الكرام، تسعى الدولة المصرية دائما للنهوض بالصناعة المصرية.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, well, these factories have been made in line with a common policy long pursued by the government to add to the industrial capacity of the nation. These three factories producing medical gases, industrial gases, as well as ultra-hydrogen oxide have been added in order to the industrial capacity of the Egyptian industry, rather than importing such materials produced by these factories from outside, in which case the government or the country has had to incur a vast amount of hard currency in order to import them from other countries. Now these materials, these chemicals, from now on will be made by these three factories rather than being imported from outside the country.
بكامل احتياجاتها من الأرجون دون الحاجة إلى استيراده من الخارج، فضلا عن تحقيق.
For example, argon gas will be made locally, will be processed locally, rather than being imported from another country. That's to say, a large amount of hard currency has been saved for the nation, for the public treasury.
تسعى كل دول العالم لتنمية اقتصادها القومي عن طريق الاستفادة بثروتها الطبيعية من خلال عمليات زيادة وتطوير.
Ladies and gentlemen, the factories added to the industrial capacity of the country will be adding value to raw materials extracted in Egypt, rather than exporting them raw as they used to be exported. Now, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is getting on the bus to make a tour together with factory officials, company officials, to tour the entire company. On the bus, at the front of the cavalcade, of the presidential cavalcade, is President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, together with top brass officials of the company, and they are on a tour of the diverse sections and departments of the plant, the medical as well as industrial gases factories, as well as the one producing ultra-hydrogen oxide. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has arrived at the site where he's going to ceremonially declare open the industrial complex. Having listened to a brief update on the capacity of the factory, of the plant, and the number of workers and sort of chemicals produced by the plant. Well, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has already unveiled a plaque declaring open, unveiled the curtain, drawn the curtain on a plaque declaring open and cutting open the ribbon, opening ribbon of the plant, together with young people seemingly working for the factory, or children of people working for the factory, to declare open the plant. And the commander, since it's run by a military company, the commander of the factory is introducing himself, as usually in the army, in the military, introducing himself to the president and giving a brief update. The colonel is giving a briefing. Lieutenant Colonel is introducing himself as a chemical engineer and giving a quick briefing to the president on the processes done by the factory, conducted by the factory. So, for example, he's referring to the control and command and control units of the factory, saying this is the place where the president is the command and control, according to the military jargon, the command and control unit of the factory, which controls all other units and all other subsidiaries of the factory. Air is being received through filters from turbine is being filtered through turbine filters, and then out of carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, and being channeled into the relevant unit of the factory, which is going to produce to use of this oxygen in producing the required material or the required chemical. Purifying, having been purified, such as substances. Another, the commanding officer is saying that the electricity, another engineer in charge of electricity will be following up all the units and will be analyzing all inputs to the processing, to the industrial process. Well, he's saying that the samples will be taken out of the some phases of the production phase to analyze how pure the air is, and if not pure, it will be disposed of. The gentleman, another officer, is the commanding officer in charge of operating the factory, and he's asked the president's permission in order to introduce to the president a briefing on all the kind of equipment used by the factory, and he's giving a quick briefing on all equipment. Thermal operator, thermal exchanger, in order to get rid of, dispose of all humidity in the air before channeling or pumping the air into relevant production processes, to make sure that the air received from air, the oxygen received from the air is free, is absolutely free of humidity. Thus, then, it will be channeled into the required process. Any commands, Mr. President? The president is still on his tour of the factory and is listening seemingly to some more details on the production site by the company commander, the company chief, as well as the chief of the National Service Agency affiliated to the armed forces. Liquefied oxygen tanks are standing ready to provide liquefied oxygen drawn from these high tanks and carrying it to hospitals and other places. Seemingly another officer giving some more explanation to the president on the unit for producing liquefied gas, liquefied oxygen. Liquefied oxygen tank has with a capacity of 300,000 liters, as the phrase reads, written or emblazoned on the mobile tank, the lorry mobile tank. The president is still inspecting.
أمام سيادتك يا فندم منطقة المرافق الصناعية اللي بتتكون من برج تبريد المياه.
Cooling tower. Your Excellency, you're looking now at the cooling tower of the factory, which has the mission of cooling down the heat produced, or thermal heat produced by the diverse industrial processes. Argon producing unit. This is the argon producing unit, the oxygen producing unit as well. And the engineer is giving to the president some chemical or highly technical details on how argon is being received by these tanks and loaded onto these lorry-mounted tanks. Another officer in charge of this unit is giving a quick briefing to the president on the missions, on the operations done. Major, an engineering officer at the rank of major is giving a briefing to the president on the command and control of the factory. Another control of another section of the factory. Well, he is saying that there are a number of monitors, of screens dotted along the operation room, operation theatre, with each showing certain operations, certain activities done and shown by this screen or monitor. Well, he said that this unit in grey is controlling gases and controlling the purity of gases pumped into. Desalinated water is being received here at this unit. Desalinated water is being received here by these cooling towers and the boilers, and then desalinated water is pumped into water boilers to heat them up to the... And we're asking your permission, your president, to give the signal for the factory to start operating. 3 or 4 university students taking part, seemingly children of the people in the factory or specialized students, have given the signal, the operation signal to the factory to start working by pressing a button. By pressing a button, they have already given, with the permission of the president, of course, to give the go-ahead signal to the factory to start operating. And we see now the chimney is starting to emit vapor. Thus say the factory has already started to operate. Captain and another engineering officer at the rank of a captain is giving a briefing on the unit, is in charge of the hydrogen, ultra hydrogen oxide. That's to say this rare material which used to be imported before this unit has been built. He's saying that hydrogen is being pumped into this unit to be mixed, to be mingled with the certain chemical incentives, certain catalysts. That's to say, according to the chemical jargon used, certain chemical catalyst is being mingled with the hydrogen in these towers, in order, and by being mingled with these chemical catalysts, ultra hydrogen oxide is being produced at a concentration of 85%. So the ultra hydrogen being produced at a concentration, a chemical concentration of 85%, with unwanted materials in the substance only accounting for only 15%. Then it's being packed onto lorries. Thank you, Mr. President. Any commands, the orders? The President Abdel Fattah Sisi, escorted by top-brass officials of the company, is walking around the facilities of the factory. Is walking around the facilities of the factory to inspect them and give the go-ahead signal to the factory to come on stream.
تمام يا فندم. رائد اسلام محمد رامي مدير وحده تعبئه منطقه فوق الى تزيد.
Now the President is listening to the briefing by an engineering officer at the rank of Major. He is in charge of the packing facility. This packing facility is in charge of packing ultra-hydrogen oxide into packs and mounting them on lorries. And we ask your permission, President, to press a button to give the signal to for the factory to operate. Packing is done automatically, and all packs are being screened by screening unit here to exclude and rule out any packed unit which does not answer to all the specifications. Any pack which does not answer, does not comply with the needed specifications for a packet is being ruled out by the screening unit. On conveyor belt, we see units being handled by machines automatically. They collect the packs already filled with the ultra hydrogen oxide. Then the packed material are being wrapped up and carried to the platform, to the berth, either to the lorry which is going to be mounted on, or to the store where it's going to be stored for future use. And now the President is taking a group photo with senior staffers of the factory. The President right in the middle of a group photo. president back is being asked to take another group photo with another group who wanted to have another group photo with the president. The president is leaving the factory, is riding his cavalcade once more and leaving the factory. With all factory staff on hand to bid him farewell.
الخلق ينظرون جميعا كيف أبني قواعد المجد وحدي وبناة الأهرام في سالف الدهر يفون الكلام عند التحدي أنا تاج العناء في مفرق الشرق وتراثه قواعد عهدي إن مجدي في الأوليات عريق من له في الأوليات ومجدي